quick context setting on what we see from our vantage point as well in financial services in terms of the AI adoption, what's happening on the ground. A lot being talked about it, but there's also a fact about making it work in an enterprise and a firm. So that's on the first part that we'll do. We'll then move to the next one, which is about, we wanted all of you to experience a bit of, especially from a vibe session standpoint, more in the area of taking an idea through a proof of value, more of a vibe design and a vibe build session. So you have a lot of laptops out there. There are a series of instructions. It will be both assisted as well as if some of you wanted to do on your own, more than welcome to do it as well. So, but we'll assist in the process flow, to get a feel for it, how does that work through, especially the design and the initial prototype build part of it. And then, of course, we'll wrap it up as a final thing. Let me give a little bit of context setting from our vantage point, what we see as, I think it's all well recognized that AI has really got into a hyper acceleration phase. Maybe 2 or 3 key call-outs that I would do out here. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, but just make a call-out. One is the fact that there is a genuine movement from the traditional chatbot kind of an interface to more of agents and action. It's really happening out there in the market, in the industry as well, and BFSI is definitely in lead in that as well. There are multiple, I would call it as S waves that are happening right now, multiple interventions happening at the same point. So that kind of giving a bit of challenge as well as an opportunity. Exciting, but at the same time, it's also giving a lot of challenge in terms of the adoption standpoint. We see a significant focus on multimodal adoption. And believe that's the future in which it will shape up. You would judiciously use multiple models to accomplish a particular task or a process flow. And the most important thing is that end of the day, it's all about context engineering. You got to build the context before you engage with a model. So 3 call-outs, because there's a lot of flurry of activity happening. As you could see, a series of models that are coming into the market. Competing ones, quality is improving. For instance, think about these 2. The 5.3 Codex and the Sonnet 4.6 were launched in a space of 20 minutes. And you could expect what would happen down the line as well. So with this flurry of activity, it's important that we keep those 3 call-outs in mind, because you've got to judicially use which models would factor for and at what context in an enterprise as well. While that happens, this flurry of activity happening, what we believe is that there is also convergence happening in this space. There is a vertical convergence happening. Right from, so far the focus has not been on models and applications. It's all about hardware and infrastructure as well. You could see a lot of investments being called out in this space globally, within India. And from our organization standpoint, also in the group, we have announced the launch of an AI data center, a 1 gigawatt data center over a period of next 5 years as well. But the point is that there is a vertical alignment that's happening right through infrastructure to the models, both specialized and foundation models, and to the applications. It's very important to think through that it has got off to a inflection point that cannot be seen in isolation. It has to be seen in terms of the entire vertical stack to make it more impactful. We did a survey among customers both globally and in India. Close to 170 of our customers, we did a survey and saying what's adoption and how is it shaping up. This is a very recent survey that we did. The multiple things that came out, one good news is all about that. Close to 90% of the customers are in some form or shape. And this cut across banking, capital markets, and insurance customers, I said both India and globally, are in some form or shape adopting it with almost 60% fairly in advanced stage of the adoption standpoint as well. I just want to make one specific call out here. It'll be interesting to many of you as well. 50% of the customer base feels that a lot of focus need to be given on enterprise-specific models and some fine-tuned models as well. This is something which is very important, given the regulated nature of the financial service industry, how much of secure and how much of accurate models are also needed from an enterprise standpoint. And then, of course, a majority, overwhelming majority also felt there is a good need to measure the outcome. Metrics are needed. It's one to talk about POC and pilots, but another to talk about the business outcome. In India, I think it's also interesting to see India, the opportunity and challenges, the nuances around the language. India, I would to call it, is a very voice-led demography. I think there's a focus on voice. So the key thing is that how well nuanced did you address the voices, the different language constructs, the different variations in that, and how do you make sure that that's been delivered through it? We worked at Tata Capital. I think I'll just do a quick demonstration of the work that Tata Cap has launched into the market in the area of retail lending.
India is a land of many voices, spoken in different languages across diverse geographies, and, most importantly, with unique financial needs. At Tata Capital, financial inclusion means more than just access to finance. It means being present, being understood, and being reachable to everyone, everywhere. Today, we are proud to showcase a multimodal voice AI solution supporting our customers across every key moment of their financial journey, truly end-to-end.
Hello, Omkar Sharma ji. This is Tia calling from Tata Capital. Can we talk now?
हाँ बोलो, पर थोड़ा जल्दी मैं काम पे हूँ।
ठीक है ओमकार शर्मा जी, मैं समझ सकती हूँ। मैं आपको ये बताने के लिए कॉल कर रही थी कि टाटा कैपिटल में आपके लिए एक प्री अप्रूव्ड लोन ऑफर है। यह 5 लाख रुपए का लोन 12.5% इंटरेस्ट रेट पर 3 साल के लिए है। क्या आप इस ऑफर के बारे में जानना चाहेंगे?
हाँ जी बताइए।
ठीक है ओमकार शर्मा जी, आगे बढ़ने के लिए मुझे आपसे कुछ सवाल पूछने होंगे। क्या हम शुरू कर सकते हैं?
जी हाँ।
ठीक है, तो सबसे पहले क्या आप सैलरीड है या सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड?
मैं समझा नहीं मैडम।
माफ कीजिएगा, मेरा मतलब है कि आप कहीं नौकरी करते हैं या आपका अपना कोई बिजनेस है?
मेरी खुद की दुकान है।
अच्छा, आपकी अपनी दुकान है। तो क्या आप मुझे बता सकते हैं कि आपका बिजनेस किस बारे में है?
मैडम मेरी किराने की दुकान है।
ठीक है, आपकी ग्रोसरी शॉप है। तो क्या आपकी दुकान की जगह आपकी अपनी है या आपने किराए पर ली हुई है?
मेरी किराए की दुकान पे, किराए में।
अच्छा, तो आपकी दुकान किराए पर है। मैंने आपको व्हाट्सएप पर एक पर्सनल इन्फॉर्मेशन फॉर्म भेजा है जिसमें कुछ बेसिक डिटेल्स चाहिए। आप उसे भर दीजिए और अगर कोई डाउट हो तो पूछ सकते हैं।
हाँ मिल गया है फॉर्म, मैं भरता हूँ मैडम। इसमें ज़्यादा टाइम तो नहीं लगेगा?
नहीं, ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा। आप आराम से भरिए, मैं यही हूँ, अगर कोई सवाल हो तो पूछ लीजिएगा।
मैडम ये मदर्स मेडन नेम में क्या डालना है?
अच्छा, आप मदर्स मेडन नेम के बारे में पूछ रहे हैं। इसका मतलब है आपकी मम्मी का शादी से पहले का नाम। क्या आप कॉल पर हैं? जरूरत पड़े तो बताएं, मदद कर सकती हूँ।
हाँ मैं फॉर्म भर रहा हूँ मैडम, बीच में ही हूँ, भर रहा हूँ।
ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, आप आराम से भरिए, मैं यही हूँ।
हाँ मैडम मैंने फॉर्म भर दिया है।
बहुत बढ़िया, आपका फॉर्म भरने के लिए धन्यवाद। तो मैं आपको फिर से बता दूं कि आपको 5 लाख का लोन 12.5% के इंटरेस्ट रेट पर 3 साल के लिए मिलेगा, जिसकी EMI 16,727 होगी। हमारी टीम आपके एप्लीकेशन को रिव्यू करेगी और अगले 24 घंटों में आपसे डिस्बर्सल के लिए संपर्क करेगी। आपका दिन शुभ हो।
What you just saw, well, that is the future. The future of conversations, of customer engagement, and of AI-led transformation. This isn't just a concept. It is already powering millions of customer conversations. This is how Tata Capital is reimagining engagement at scale, with responsibility, with empathy, and with real impact. Because when trust finally finds a voice, Bharat engages. And when Bharat engages, Bharat progresses.
So this was a scenario in which, if you look at it, I think voice AI is not new. I think it's been around for a while, but the ability to engage in a very conversational mode, and the entire conversation has been modeled on an AI agent on one side of it. It's a multi-model in nature. It uses our own India-based model based on Sarvam. So I think a lot of linguistic variations that is at present, I think this is important because on one side we have the global models available, but it's also important to address the local nuances out there. And the second thing is it's also now allowing from a multi-channel standpoint. So I think the ability to come together more from a customer servicing, I think that has taken it a different league altogether. While that happens, let me call you out some key pointers from what we have been experiencing over the last, I would say 9 to 12 months. Some very grounded reality has been popped up here. From our vantage, when we're looking at the adoption in terms of AI for business and AI for IT, IT is pretty straightforward in terms of it's mostly around a lot of focus on coding assistance, and plus the fact that you do a lot using modernization. Huge focus in many firms in terms of technology modernizing, the ability of AI to accelerate it. And these are not POCs and pilots really getting into production. But then the business side of it, if you look at it, it's kind of broad stick happening out there, right from customer servicing to horizontal functions, corporate functions, and also into wealth and investment advisory as well. So there is a significant progress happening in this space, but just also wanted to call out some of the ground realities that are popping up. ROI challenges still persist. There is still challenges in terms of the accuracy, the compliance aspect of it. That's still an important thing to be addressed and factored in building an AI solution. The other part is that building an AI solution is one thing, making it work in an enterprise in terms of integration is so critical. A lot of ROIs have been built around building solution, but not necessarily the effort that you need to make it work, connecting to your enterprise systems, connecting to your CRMs, your core banking, your learning application. That's a critical aspect of this whole process flow. I think it's fairly recognized that individual use cases are not giving you the benefit. The real benefit come by process flows and by workflows, and that you've got to look at workflows differently, not to the traditional left to right, but more from right to left in terms of an outcome standpoint. We see and we believe fine-tuning is something that financial services would pick up in a significant way. We're already seeing that. That would really do an uptick in the next 6 to 9 months, could definitely see that picking up in a big way. Why? Because of the need for much more accurate, much more precise models that need to happen. To say that it will be a hybrid scenario, you would have fine-tuned models on one hand. You'll also have large language models, you would judiciously use it. There is definitely a shift towards agentic. Having said that, these are not agentic as in high level of autonomy, but a slow pedigree of autonomy is being enabled in it, but agentic workflows are happening. The bottom point, I think we refer to that, the vertical stack that's evolving. Very important to look at an infrastructure in the platform-based thought process. Again, the whole point is that I can do a great POC, pilot, shiny object, but how do I scale it across? And you need a platform engineered thought process to make it happen. So these are some of the experiences that we kind of picked up, thought, okay, we'll relay that all of you as well. Just wanted to give a quick perspective around the fine-tuning that we talked about. This is something which piggyback on the fact that it will be in hybrid AI solutions and models that you would end up with. You would have both the scenarios. You will continue to leverage large language model for broad, measurable enterprise tasks and activities with proper grounding. I think it's very important. I just double down on the fact that it has to be engineered. How well do you orchestrate your workflows? How well do you build your evals around it? It's very critical. But I think this is an equally important. How well do you build your domain adapted models in compliance area, in advisory, in credit research? I think it's important to see how well they build the proprietary and high accuracy. So from our vantage point, we believe it's going to be a convergence between the two, not one over the other, because each has its own space. It's very important to judicially use this. And I'll just give you a couple of quick anecdotes around it. These are real life examples. Something that we've done for litigation prediction in a claims value chain. If you look at it, what a base model provided versus what a fine-tuned model provides. And this is not something that happens straight away. You need to iteratively build it, but it's very important to continue, make sure that right from base model with different techniques of fine-tuning to make it more domain adapted in that context. And you could see the high percentage of accuracy as you build that incrementally. And this is where business gets a lot glued to it, saying that, hey, now it's come to a point. It's not just technical, it's also important to make it work. Same thing in compliance, and we have used 2 different models just to give a variation. There are many models out there, but these are models that you could enable it, and whether it's Llama or Mistral family, there are many other models. For instance, as I said, for server models, we've been working on it in terms of voice AI standpoint. But the key message I want to leave out here is that fine-tuning or making it proprietary is not just technology. I think it's all about building this domain curation. How well do you build the instruction set for a fine-tuning? And that needs a lot of domain understanding. Once you build that, the initial set, then I think it's a lot about applying the right techniques. And it's also equally important to look at the right models. You have a slew of models out there, and there is a method to the madness in terms of which model would fit into what context. So all the 3 are very important. Building the right instruction sets for fine-tuning. And for all of you who I'm sure fine-tuning is something that all of you are aware of it, but essentially what you're trying to do is that making sure a broader model has been fine-tuned towards specific domain and adaptation so that it get much more relevant in that context, and the accuracy of the decisions it takes is to a higher level. A series of business scenarios that are evolving in this area. We see this in India, we see this in globally. So this is something from our vantage, we see a strong uptick that's happening. So just wanted to give a quick flavor of that before we get into the wide thought process. I think it's important to look at it from the context engineering, very important. Enterprise adoption is not just about building use cases, but also making it work in the broader. It's very critical to make sure that you judicious use of large language models and domain adapted models. And with that, we think, let me just show you one specific scenario where.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling. Do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Hi, Catherine. This is Daniel Thompson. I need to report an accident that happened earlier today morning at 4:30 a.m.
I am sorry to hear. Could I please have your policy number?
Yes, it is ALC 76 123905.
Thanks, Daniel. I brought up your policy. Everything looks active. Could you describe what happened?
I was already on the highway. I was driving southbound on the M1 Pacific motorway past the Gosford exit in New South Wales, maintaining my lane and speed when a silver SUV suddenly merged from the left onto the motorway and sideswiped my vehicle.
So the impact was on the left side?
Yes, quite severely. It hit around the front left door and fender area. I had no chance to react. The other driver didn't yield or check for traffic.
Understood. Were the police called to the scene?
Yes, a patrol unit came by. They've noted the details. I have the event number. I also took several photos of the damage.
Great. If you can send us the event number, police notes, and any photos, that will help us proceed. We'll also need the repair estimate or tow docket if you've received one.
I will email all documents shortly.
Perfect. Drive safe and let us know if you need anything else.
All right, as you could relate, I think the accent of this is for a UK-based customer, and the context is a little different from the first one that you saw from a voice AI, which was a very specific scenario where in the Tata Capital story, it was AI at the thick and center of everything in terms of engaging in a customer servicing, but not actions are not getting taken. It's more of a conversational flow. This one, a scenario in which a multi-model with a fine-tuned model being brought into the picture. So if you could see, the focus of the customer service rep is more in terms of looking at the information that can be gleaned around it. So this is an augmented AI. AI was listening to the whole conversation, providing from an augmented standpoint what additional information. Normally, this whole process called FNOL, the first notice of loss, for all those from the insurance background would know. When you meet with an accident, the first notice of loss that you make a call to the back office to inform. A lot of information you gather at that point. It's very important to capture that information. Today, it's a very back and forth happens, and your claims get delayed because of the simple reason you haven't captured enough information. In this scenario, behind the scenes, so AI was not in the front end center, behind the scenes capturing the information, and there was a litigation validator, which I was telling the fine-tuned model, looking at it, is there any fraud in this process so that there is a subsequent litigation possible down the line. And that information, I know how many have watched that information was gleaned through in between, providers say, hey, this looks like a good call, let's proceed. So I think that the modality is a little different out there, but the whole point is that it's very important to look from both the scenarios. So to put it in a nutshell, I think it's important from an enterprise firm. I think proper calibration is very critical. Great technology, great capabilities evolving, but it's also important, how do you enable that in a context? And where do you not apply AI also? I think it's important to also look where you don't apply AI. Because at times, we have the thought process of applying AI all over the place. I think it's very important to break it and then make sure that the ones, and that's where our philosophy is that don't look at from a traditional process flow from left to right, which you break it down to series of tasks and say where I can apply. look at from a right to left and see outcome, what is the outcome and how do I reapply back? So what we're going to do now for the next 60 minutes or so, what I thought is that our belief is that this need to be broken into three broad areas. You got to have a quick proof of value. You need to build that proof of value because there are certain things you will just move forward then. You say, okay, oh, this is not working, let me try the next one. You have the ability right now to do a quick prototyping, a quick vibe design and prototyping. Then you go into a rapid build over a period of time, 5 to 6 weeks, and then you really scale it. This is the model that we would advocate as enterprises start picking up more and more because, as I said, it's very important to look at outcome backwards. It's very important to look for what is the business assurance that I bring in. So we have constructed the next 60 minutes or so in that format. We have certain challenge cards on your table. You have laptops out there. We're going to do this in 2 formats. We'll assist you in the process in how do I go through the process flow. And second is also in terms of those who are more wanting to do on their own, they feel free to try it out. Instructions are also given out there. Let me invite Kavita now to run you through the vibe coding, design, and prototyping session. Thank you.
To continue on the topic of scaling, in financial services, AI doesn't scale when the model is ready. It's when legal, compliance, regulatory, all of the body comes together. That's when they are ready, it's when AI scales, right? So I think that's one of the challenges that we face when we look at scaling AI. This is just one of them. And my name is Kavita, and I lead the AI labs for financial services. And I help customers on their journey to adopt AI and scale AI. And one of the other challenges that really come across when we start discussing about AI use cases is, how do I get the business teams on board? Because if you look at the kind of implementations we have seen so far in AI, you've got knowledge assistants, you've got chatbots, you've got good document AI capability. And if you look at these implementations, they have actually filled the gap where the traditional traditional IT has failed, in the sense, inability to access unstructured data. That was a gap which AI solved. So most of the use cases have been around these lines, and that's primarily because AI has not been, we have not let the business teams actually drive AI. So what does it take to help enable the business teams to understand the power of AI and look at more transformative use cases? So that's the construct of what we want to do today. We want you to experience that how a business user or a business team can be enabled with AI to accelerate that whole journey of identifying the right opportunity, doing a working prototype, and actually even testing it out and seeing the proof of value. How do we shift left in the sense that how do we give business more control, and working with the engineering team, build out a quick proof of value that you can validate and then scale to production? Because in one of the earlier conversations I had with one of you here was that, you know, scaling is a challenge, but sometimes you don't get to scale because you've not identified the right opportunity. You try to apply AI everywhere. So how to use AI to help you in that journey, and what we want to achieve through this is let business lead the whole AI redesign. So how do we do that? And that's something that we will cover today. And what we're going to show you, demonstrate to you, is not a tool, but how we can bring all the AI capability together for a business audience. So yeah, switching on to that. So what we'll see today, disclaimer before I start, this tool is not a single tool, it's a workbench that we have created that brings together different AI capabilities. And then what we do is that we start off with something called a business challenge, because that's the starting point for a business team. Where do I begin my journey? What is the challenge that I need to address? And for the sake of this demonstration, I'll pick up one use case, something that's a challenge that has come up in one of our customer conversations was that you have a lot of portfolio managers who need to, at the end of the quarter, generate a summary of how their portfolio has performed. And along with collecting a lot of data, they need to actually check out the sentiment that's of the stock on the public domain. So there's a lot of data gathering, a lot of analysis that comes in, and as a result, there's a lot of time that goes into that activity, and that delays the overall report, and sometimes it's get delegated to a junior analyst. The quality of the report is affected. So how do I bring all of that in a way that AI can help the portfolio manager solve the problem? So that was the challenge that we picked up, and I'll show you a quick demonstration of how that challenge works. The challenge was just creating an assistant to help the AI agent, to help the portfolio manager actually look up what is the right, what is the data that's available out there on the public domain, or even look up Yahoo Finance to see how the stock has performed. So all of that was being done by AI in the background. And this is a solution that when we piloted it with our customers, they saw a huge advantage, because today they were actually outsourcing a lot of this activity to a third-party organization, and they were able to bring that back and bring down the overall time to generate the report, and even the quality of the report started coming out much better. So this is, I thought I'll give you a view of the final outcome, and take you back to where we started. And that's the platform that we were trying to show you. So switching on, to that platform. So what we do as a first step is actually pick up the challenge, and how do you use AI to ideate and come up with something called the opportunity canvas. So many of our users have, if you see, business users are all equipped with co-pilots because it's already available in the enterprise. But what we've observed is that just not giving them AI tools or training them on prompts is really going to help. It's about helping them to understand that end-to-end process and letting them have complete control. So that's what we've done over here. So we looked at what could be a set of questions that a business user needs to look at when they see a challenge and convert it to an opportunity. So we've curated a set of prompts which can go through the data and come up with what we call the opportunity canvas. So we'll just walk you through those different steps. So I think one thing that we always need to keep in mind is that when we give AI to the business users, the research is primarily on, you can use a lot of research tools available, but the organization context is more important. How do we know what the user is, what are the different users going through, what is their challenges and pain points? So loading the context is the first step. And the reason I'm walking you through this is because once I finish the demo, I want you also to try and just see whether as a business leader or a practitioner, how the whole experience will be and how can we really build that capability for business teams to use. So we'll go through this flow. So we have built the context. And then after that, you can even go back and do a deep research, because sometimes your context is not enough. You want to know how your peers are performing. You can pull out a deep research from Gemini or ChatGPT. So put that context also in, and then you have an overall knowledge base that your business team can now use to start ideating. So what we've done is created an ideation framework here. Now, as you go through the ideation process, you'll have a lot of questions. Have I captured all the pain points right? Because you want to be sure that you're actually solving a problem. So there's pain points that you capture, and there are quite a lot of steps. I won't go through all of them, but if we quickly go through, you'll have pain points, you'll have, you'll want to assess what the business impact is, what's the possible solution direction that you want to take, right? And as we go through these steps, you'll see that it's not enough just to analyze the data that's all available, but to actually start seeing AI as a thinking partner. That's what we want the business to do. Be able to bounce ideas, validate them, feed the input, and finally at the end of it, create what we call an opportunity canvas. So a lot of thought has gone in. So while these demonstrations, while he brings up the opportunity canvas, something that we have observed is that just giving a tool may not be the only solution. What we do in TC, something that's worked for us, is that we conduct an AI day for business teams, where we try to create that immersive experience where they understand what are the right AI tools and also how to use them and how to apply them in the context. So if you can just go through the, yeah. So there's a lot of questions. So and it will take a minute to go through, but if our demo is ready, you can show that as well. Yeah, so this is what the final product looked like. So it just, you give a company name, and it went through the organization's research. It also went to the public domain and started picking up all that stock information and brought that up into an overall summary that can be then used by the portfolio manager to make a decision on how his stock has performed. How do I report that to his customers? How do I report that into the performance reporting reports? And if you see, it was instant, and it's gone through, I think, 15 to 20 sites. We've configured all the financial sites to go through and capture the sentiment, capture key financial metrics, all of that instantly on a very high-speed internet. Now, I think we would be done with the opportunity canvas. Last one step. So it's important that we go through these steps. So that's why we have consciously made these steps, so that you don't pick an idea which is not the right one. So identifying the opportunity, what is the possible solution direction, what's the impact, and what your roadmap will look like. And there you have an opportunity canvas, which the user has co-created along with AI. Now you go on to the next step, and this is important. Now, all this is fine. Comfortable, the business team could be comfortable in opportunity canvas, but can now the business team, with the help of AI, drive the overall design process? So what you'll see is that you can brainstorm with AI and actually give a direction of what that design should be. And this is what AI has generated. It's kind of broken down that whole opportunity into a set of different agents that can go in. Because as we covered in the previous session, a lot of focus is on moving to agentic. So can we look at building what that agentic solution would look like is what you're going to see here. It's not done the coding yet, but what it has done is broken up that entire opportunity into a series of agents which can address this need. And you can try that. You will get a chance to try this, so I won't go into the detail. But here it's come up with 4 or 5 agents, it's organized. And as a business team, they can actually go and say, I want these kind of checks and balances. I want to do it this way. And now you see the difference, right? Earlier, it was all left to the engineering team to actually build the solution. But now we're passing the power back to the business to drive all of this. Now, going forward, what is the next important step is to validate what this opportunity looks like from an experience. So you use a simple vibe coding tool. We have here used both Lovable and Google AI Studio. This tool generates the prompt, you copy the prompt, and then you actually can see it through a visual experience. So it's as simple as putting it. And if you see the prompt, it's all English. And when you get into your vibe session, you'll see that you can actually edit some of it and see what that experience looks like. So this will take how much time? Maybe a minute or so. Do you have something that you've already pre-built? Yeah. So this is something that came out of the tool. A very, very nice experience which shows what the portfolio summary should look like, what are the stocks, etc. So it kind of understood the opportunity and translated that. And you can play around with it and tweak it to the experience. This step becomes very important because what earlier took 2 to 3 weeks of building a UX prototype as the end of a design phase actually got converted to minutes. And this is something you take to the stakeholders, validate it, and you're ready with what is that real challenge you want to address, what's the real opportunity comes out so quickly. Now, we can't stop with just a UX prototype because that just gives you an experience. You need to actually engineer some of the back-end capability. And there are low-code platforms that are available. So in today's Vibe session, we will show you that as well. And one of the examples that we have shown here is a solution called Na10. It's a low-code platform building. It's not that we are saying this is the right tool. As per your enterprise decision, you could have different options. But this really helps, in our view, to ideate and understand or discuss with your engineering teams, how your design should be. You can easily visualize what are the models being used here. How have I thought through all the guardrails? Have I built my business evaluations? All of this can be verified in one shot. And then from this, the code can get generated and you'll have a working end-to-end solution. So this is the process we followed for quickly prototyping, and the demo that you saw was an example of something that was built using this approach. So what we'd like to do now is, shift back to you and see if you'd like to try this. I mean, some of you could, we have laptops configured with with user IDs. We have all the tools available. It's an opportunity for you to try out, and we have mentors. We have mentors available for each table. A lot of our teams here to support you, and we'd really encourage you to try, and we can guide you here as you go along. Explore. Yeah. Okay, so let me just walk you through what you would do. Okay, so all of your laptops will have a handbook already preloaded, which talks about the use case that you would be picking up. Okay, so and that is in green. It's tagged as challenge. So that's the use case that you will start with, and you have different phases, and you have resources for each of the phase. So feel free to go through this handbook, take it step by step, and we'll help you with it. Your workspace 5. So log into your workspace based on the number that's on your table. No, craft here. So when you start, it would be the discovery and design. And you can start the solution with the resource present there. Okay, so just a quick time check. We just have 5 minutes. So if you want some help on any particular section, just raise your hand. We'll come and help. But I'm so happy to see many of you have generated very nice UX prototypes. And you can also move into that build phase if that's an optional one, but try it out. We'll have mentors to support you. This is actually optional because it involves some amount of technical background. But it's essentially, we can open a, there's a default workflow. We can open the, you have the link for this. So what this helps you to do is, there's a lot of reusable capability in terms of what an agent has to have. And you drag and drop that and you can create an end-to-end design for it. And then add your guardrail. So if your organization has pre-built something, they keep it here, then you can reuse it.
So in your organization you've been working with, so they have like an enterprise-wide common entity.
Yeah, so entity is just not one of the many tools we use. The concept is that there's always a foundation capability that is built, which then contains all those. Go to this.
Other slide, switch to the other.
Before that. So I think we'll just conclude. So far we spoke about. I only covered. I'll hand it over to him. But what you did essentially comes as step one you actually did, and I'm so happy that many of you got challenge completed, and you saw your code getting converted, and I see a lot of happy faces because it was, I heard words like amazing, I can do the same thing for with my tools. So very happy to hear all that. So what we did was the first step, proof of value. We've tried to establish this is something, a problem worth solving for my organization, and you may have an answer then you have an answer at the end of the stage. But the journey to take it to production is involves something called rapid building. What you've built is a foundation which you can add on more functionality and then create it into a full-fledged solution, and that's where we call the rapid build, which is about engineering the full-fledged solution before you go to production, and then finally the scale. And when you look at scale, and someone asked me that question, you have to build a lot of AI foundation capability, the control plane, a lot of things need to go in. And that's important if you want to bring that scale. I'll just hand it over to Unni to close.
No, I think thank you. Thank you for being a real sport out there. I think all of you joining in, being through the Vibe session as well. Great to see all of you continuing out there. Once again, thanks for participating. I think this is one important thing that we believe AI would make a difference in the ability to quickly translate an idea to prototype. Not to say that that prototype is what you would eventually scale to production, but that gives you the feel of what can be done. And then you naturally scale it into production in a very calibrated way. But again, thanks for your time and then being part of it. Feel free to reach out. Some of these, I'm assuming, would have been captured in your email, etc. So it's available for you to do some prompting and vibing back home as well, if you're adventurous and wanting to extend the focus. Thank you once again, and have a good rest of the day.